Good morning, Father Jerry.
Hello.
Over here.
Oh, hi, guys. Hey, you came back. So good to see you. I'm going to take my mask off, okay, because there's nobody in the church, so it's okay. But don't forget, you got to wear your mask if you go out in public, okay? So I'm taking mine off because I can see you better. And this mask was made for me by Diane Biggis. So a lot of people are making me masks, so I'm very safe and very secure. So it's so great to have you here today in the beautiful month of May. And I want to show you who's our bench partner today. His name is Curtin. He's just a little guy, and his grandmother belongs to our community here. And Curtin has some illness right now, and we're praying for him. So maybe today in your prayers, you could say a little prayer for Curtin, okay? So why don't we start off with our in his hands prayer, okay? Because we seem to know that pretty well. Maybe we'll learn a new one down the road. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got me and you, sister, in his hands. He's got me and you, brother. In his hands, he's got a little Curtin. In his hands, he's got the whole world in his hands. There, we start off. And here we are in the church again. My plan today is to tell you about a friend of mine, and then I want to tell you a little bit about my mom, and then we're going to go into the sacristy, and I'm going to show you the vestments that I wear at Mass. If you were here, I'd have one of you put it on, but since you're not here, we'll have to pretend, okay? So, today is May the 5th day of the month of May. And for me, this day is both bitter and sweet. Now, what does that mean? It sounds like two opposites, right? Bitter and sweet. So, bitter because on this day, my best friend, Bobby, when I was just a boy, he got killed in the war in Vietnam, which you'll read about in the history books someday. An awful war. And Bobby was only 19 years old. So today, 50 years ago, in a faraway country, Bobby was shot and killed. And so it's bitter for me to remember that. But it's sweet in the sense that I know that Jesus made a promise to Bobby when he was born and he was baptized that he would go to heaven. So I believe strongly that for the past 50 years, Bobby's been in heaven and Bobby is still praying for me. I'd like to show you his picture. This is Bobby. He was probably around 13 or 14 at that time. But it's a great picture of him, so much of a likeness. I think he's looking into my house windows at that picture. Anyway, Bobby was a great kid, and he was a real funny guy. And when we were small, he lived next door to me. So when I want him to come out and play, I would go over to his house by his back porch, and I'd sing, Bobby. And I keep doing that until Bobby came out. And he would do the same thing at my house. If he got up first and wanted to play, he'd come over to the house and go, Jerry. And I would eventually come out after him singing that little tune to me. So I want to remember him today, and I hope that you could remember him too. Just say a little prayer for him and maybe ask him to help us as we continue our journey, and that God will give all of us more years than Bobby had. He only had 19 of them here on earth. But one funny story about Bobby. Bobby loved fish. His father liked to fish too. And one day, his father took me and Bobby, and we went fishing. And Bobby was so excited about casting his line out into the water. He put his hook together and he put the worm on the hook, and he didn't look around at anybody behind him. And he went like this and he cast it like that. Well, the hook caught me on my chin. So as he's casting, I'm going like this, oh! And the hook was cut right into my little chin. So I cried about that, and I was mad at him about that, but afterwards we kind of laughed. And we always remembered that day when Bobby hooked Jerry. So luckily I didn't go into the water, but it was pretty close. So that's my friend Bobby, and a great guy. And today, I think it might be good for you, too, to think about your friends. Who are your friends? And are you missing your friends right now because you're home alone and with your brothers and sisters? So it might be good to connect. You know, you guys can do that so much better than I can. You can Facebook, you can Zoom, you can do all kinds of things. So maybe think about your friends today and how you can connect with them. And it might be nice if you tell your friends today that, you know what, I really like this about you. Tell them something wonderful about them so that it'll make their day. You know, they'll recognize that they have some good things in them. So if you can connect with a friend today, how great that will be. Okay, so that's our little task for the day. And I'll do the same thing. Okay, I'm going to find one of my friends from a long time ago and see if I can track them down and say hello. Friends are our best gifts, and especially when we make friends when we're small, often those friends are friends for life. So let's be good to our friends today and say hello. So that's one thing I wanted to chat with you about. The other thing is, what's coming up this Sunday? Mrs. Goss, do you know? What is it?
Mother's Day?
It's Mother's Day, right? And our mothers are so special to us. And we have Mary, the mother of Jesus, who is our mother too, the Blessed Mother. Remember, our church is named after her, Church of the Immaculate Conception. That's right, you got it right again. And so we're going to honor Mary as we honor our mothers this Sunday, but you have to remember your moms. So what can you do to make their day very special this Sunday? And I'm thinking that maybe if you write a little card and something real special in that card about your mom, what she means to you, how thankful you are to have her. And you could do it for your grandmother, you could do it for your favorite aunt, anybody you want, any woman who's very special in your life. That's the one you want to try to reach out to, okay? So, since you're going to do that, I'm going to pray for my mother on that day because my mother's already in heaven, but I thought I'd show you a picture of her too when she was just 19. This is before she was married. And I think some of my brothers and sisters might be watching today, so that's our mom. That's my Juliet. And she was about 19 years old at this time. And she was quite a gal. And she was a good mom and a good wife and a good friend to a lot of people. And she really loved her church. Very active in her church. She loved the church. And always there present to pray and to help out in any way that she can. So today, it's our friends that we want to acknowledge, right? Maybe a little card to them, a little hello, and our moms on Sunday. So don't forget them, okay? Because we would be lost without our moms, for sure. Okay, so those are the two things I kind of want to attend to before we go into the sacristy. So if you want to come with me, we'll go over there. Okay, we'll go right by the organ. Now, if you remember, Mr. Biggest was with us last week, and he talked about the bells. Remember, the bells are in this closet. Some of you thought they were big bells, but they're all electronic bells, but you could never tell the difference. Sometimes I'm in the park, Indian Meadows, and I can hear the bells. And I say, oh, wow, they sound great. And what are the names of the bells? The Juliets, right? Because they're named after my mom, because my brothers and sisters got the bells for us. So the Juliets. So when you hear those bells ring, if you hear them ring on Sunday, it's Happy Mama's Day to Juliet and your mom too. Okay? So let's go this way. This is what we call the sacristy, and it's usually kind of, for me, this is where I kind of get ready, and sometimes have to pray a little bit before I celebrate Mass. So I often pray to the Blessed Mother. Now this picture of the Blessed Mother I found in the rectory upstairs in a closet, and it's actually painted on canvas, and it's very, very old, and she looks very sad. And so she's probably thinking of Jesus when he died on the cross. I'm not sure. But I pray to her and ask her to bless me and to bless all the people here at Immaculate. So that means when I pray to her, I'm praying for you. So don't forget to pray to Mary, right? Mary, our mother. Then over here, there's a very, very old granite bust, if you will, of Saint Teresa of Lisieux. Now, Saint Teresa was in France. She lived in France. Is a beautiful saint. She died very young too. But this is very special to me because it comes from the Sisters of Providence, a group of sisters in Massachusetts that I'm very fond of. And they were getting rid of some of the pieces that they had, and we were able to get this for the church. So Saint Teresa is with us here at Immaculate as well. So we got some good things there. And over here, just some cabinets, and this is where I kind of keep my little books and things that I need sometimes when I have to study, or if I have to do the baptisms or marriage, all my little books that I need for that particular service, they're usually kept right here. So they're in a very safe place, and I always know where they are. And then finally, it's important in here is also our crucifix, right? All our houses should have a crucifix, and this one is very old as well. This has been with the church since it was built in 1970, so that goes back a few years. So that's there too. I always like to say hi to Jesus before I go out into the altar. And oftentimes I'll touch his feet just to give me some strength. Okay? Then, the big mystery closet. There. That's all of the clothes that I wear when I celebrate Mass. And remember we were talking about the front of the church? We had those ribbons hanging over the baptismal font. Remember the ribbons corresponded to the season of the year. So right now, the season is Easter. The ribbons are gold, or they could be white. So white and gold are the colors that we use during Easter. So if I was going to celebrate Mass, say in about 10 minutes, which I'm not, I would take my first piece of clothing, which would be, that can be in the way. My first piece of clothing is called an alb. And this I wear over my clothes. And it's like a baptismal garment. You know, when babies are baptized or dressed in white, well, I put this on first to remind me of my baptismal call to be a good shepherd to you and your families. So I hope that I am. So that's the alb. That's the first piece that goes on. And after I put that piece on, I put, well, let's see, what do I going to show you? I'll put this piece. This is the chasuble. Chasuble. That's a funny word, isn't it? It's a chasuble. But you notice the color, it's kind of on the gold side. And why? Because it's Easter. So that's what I would wear. And under the chasuble, before I put it on, I would put this on. Let me show you what this is. This is called a stole. S-T-O-L-E. A stole. And I put this on like this over my alb. And this is a sign of my position in the church. First among equals. So I'm the same as you, except my job is different. I'm the leader of the celebration on Sunday. I'm the leader of the parish. And so the stole reminds me and other people of what I am. So when I celebrate Mass, I always have this on. Sometimes you can see it over, and sometimes it's under. Doesn't matter. And when I go to do a wedding, or if I do a funeral, I do the same thing. I always have my stole with me, either underneath my vestments or just on top. And sometimes, like for the blessing of animals in October, you'll see me outside with my alb and the stole on my alb, but there's no chasuble. And you'll see me sprinkling the animals, right? So sometimes I don't need the top piece, the chasuble, but I always need the stole. So if I have Mass, I have both. If I'm doing something other than Mass, I usually just have the stole. So there you have that. Let me show you some of the colors too. In the church, we have red vestments. What are you supposed to wear a red vestment for? Sacrament of confirmation, right? The Holy Spirit comes to us in fire, and so red's kind of the color of fire, so it reminds us of the Holy Spirit. Whenever we celebrate a great saint that was a martyr, like today we talked about Saint Stephen. He was the first martyr in the church long time ago. And so when we celebrate his Mass, we would wear red, because red's the color of blood, right? And so it's a reminder that he gave his life for Jesus. So that would be red. So for Pentecost, the Holy Spirit, confirmation, and for martyrs, we usually do red. Now, I usually have green ones here too. I don't have too many green ones because I put them at the rectory, because I'm not going to wear green until ordinary time, and that's going to be a few weeks down the road. So I do have green ones that look very much like this, except they're green. And I have a special one that I use, and this one I use for a funeral. When somebody dies and they're buried from the church, I usually wear this one because purple is kind of the color of death when we celebrate death in the church. And we do celebrate death because death is really new life for us. So it's nothing for us to be afraid of. It's something for us to look forward to, because that's when we go to heaven. And so I wear this very special and very beautiful vestment when I have a funeral Mass for anybody who belongs to the parish. So there you have it. Those are the gold ones. This is a white one, you can see. And there are purple ones too. And the purple ones I usually use during the season of Advent and the season of Lent. And since they're way off now, those vestments are home in a special closet. So there's a little more air in here. Now in the middle, you can see all the stoles that I have. I have all kinds of stoles. People have bought me stoles over the years. I bought some. Many were here when I got here at Immaculate. But again, all the colors that I would use during the year. So, for example, during ordinary time, we'd use green. So there's a kind of the picture of a green stole. And I have red ones, and I have white ones, and I have green ones, all kinds. And if you notice, they're all hung appropriately, right? That's the way they have to be. Not really, but I like to keep them neat. So anyway, so that's my closet, and that's all the stuff that I wear. And so now when you see me in church, hopefully you see me online on the weekend, but when we get back to church, I always wear my alb, then I put on my stole, and then I put on the chasuble, right? So,
How many chasubles do you think you own?
how many chasubles? Oh, I must own 3, 6, 9, I'd say about 20. I have probably 20. And they're all in really good condition because I take real good care of them. Because I think when I'm at the altar, everything should be the best for Jesus. So the vestments should be the best. The chalices that we use should be the best. The altar cloth should be the best because it's for Jesus, right? And whenever we celebrate Mass, we always honor Jesus. So we do the best for him. So yeah, Christine, I have about 20 or so. And about, I don't know how many, 25 of these. So I have quite a few. So there you have it. So now when you know I'm in this room before Mass starts, you kind of know what I'm doing. All right? And I always say a little prayer too before I start. I say, Dear Lord, help me to be the best that I can be when I celebrate Mass, when I preach, that I give a good message to people so that they can take it and put it in their lives. Because in the readings this morning, we also talked about the name Christian. And the reading came from the Acts of the Apostles. And it tells us that long, long time ago, when the disciples were still walking the earth, they were noted as Christ followers or Christians. Christ in. So there you have Christian, right? So that's what you are, and that's what I am, a Christian. And so we talked about that today. So that's our title. And as we got to be faithful to that title. And if we are Christian, it means we love Jesus and we act like he did. So I think that's about it for today. I hope you learned a little bit, and I hope you don't forget it all. But don't forget, we got to pray for our friends today and try to get in touch with one or two. And don't forget the wonderful day we have coming up on Sunday for our moms. We ask Jesus through the Blessed Mother to bless our moms. So that's it for today. It was great being with you, and I hope God lets us be together next week as well. And until that time, I'll see you, and you have a good